Not all enemies come with a sword. Some come with a smile. They sit beside you, text you good morning, celebrate your wins, and quietly resent every one of them. They say they care, but something feels off. The compliments are laced with subtle stings. The support, conditional, and the silence, louder than their words. Have you ever looked at someone close to you and wondered, do they actually like me, or are they just pretending? What if the real threat isn't the stranger who criticizes you, but the friend who quietly hopes you fail? In this video, we uncover 7 subtle but powerful signs that someone close to you may secretly resent you. This isn't about paranoia, it's about awareness, because sometimes the greatest danger wears the mask of loyalty. This is Stoic Pathway, where we pierce through illusion and walk with clarity. Comment where you're watching from, and if you're ready to see what you've been ignoring, like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's begin. 1. They subtly undermine your achievements. They smile when you win, but the smile doesn't reach their eyes. They say congratulations, but it's wrapped in sarcasm. You achieved something real, something hard, and they just had to mention how easy it must have been or how lucky you are. This is not support. This is disguised resentment. A Stoic would remind you, the opinion of others is beyond your control, but awareness of their nature is not. The person who secretly hates you won't launch an open attack. That's too risky, too obvious. No, they'll chip away at you in silence. And one of their favorite weapons? Undermining your accomplishments. It starts small. You land a new job, and they joke, wow, they must have been desperate. You hit a personal goal, and they say, must be nice not to have real responsibilities. You're excited, and they're suddenly tired, bored, distracted. What they're really saying is, I can't celebrate you because your success reminds me of everything I haven't done. And that's not friendship. That's quiet hostility masked as humor. I've seen this play out in people's lives and in my own. What I thought were friends turned cold the moment I began to rise. Their words didn't punch, but they pricked. Little jabs, constant comparisons, fake compliments that left a strange sting. Most people ignore these signs. They convince themselves it's harmless teasing, that they're just being real. But make no mistake, genuine friends elevate you. Fake ones minimize you. A true friend may keep you grounded, but they will never make you feel small. The Stoics teach us to detach from the praise of others, but they also teach us to be vigilant, clear-eyed about the intentions behind behavior. If someone close to you constantly finds ways to shrink your wins, deflect your praise, or steal your joy, they don't admire you, they envy you. And where there is envy, there is hidden hate. Keep your peace, but don't play blind. You can be calm and still choose to protect your light. 2. They seem happier when you struggle or fail. Watch their reaction. Not when you lose, but when you're low. Not when life is perfect, but when you're broken. Because that's when their mask slips. That's when truth leaks through the cracks in their smile. A true friend mourns with your pain, but a secret enemy? They exhale in quiet relief. A Stoic would tell you, it is not misfortune that tests a man, but the company he keeps through it. There are people in your life who may never say a word of hate aloud. But when your plans fall apart, when your progress stumbles, when your confidence starts to crack, they light up inside. They won't say it, but you'll feel it. A certain calm in their tone, a quickness to say I told you so, or worse, a sudden eagerness to help, not out of love, but out of quiet superiority. I've seen this. You're climbing, you're building, and then life punches you in the chest. And there they are, just a little too available. Not to lift you, but to savor your collapse. It's subtle. They don't laugh when you fail. They just stop pretending to feel threatened. They become more confident, more talkative, almost happy. That's when you realize your failure gave them peace. Not because they're evil, but because your strength made them feel weak. The Stoics never taught us to hate those who envy us. They taught us to see them clearly, to protect our peace with discernment. Because a man or a woman who rejoices when you suffer is not your friend. They may walk beside you, smile in your presence, speak of support. But when your life gets heavy and their heart gets light, you've seen their truth. Most people expect betrayal to come with sharp words, but often it comes with silence and a spark in the eye. So watch closely, not when you win, but when you lose. Because your failures won't just reveal your resilience, they'll reveal who was really standing beside you and who was secretly hoping you'd fall. The Stoic path demands strength, but it also demands awareness. Protect your mind, guard your circle, and never confuse company with loyalty. 3. They speak well of you to your face, but criticize you behind your back. A two-faced friend is more dangerous than an open enemy. To your face, they smile, they nod, they praise, but the moment you leave the room, so does their loyalty. A Stoic would say, "The man who flatters you today may turn against you tomorrow. Judge not by words, but by character." They call you inspiring, hardworking, even brilliant when you're present. But in other rooms you're not invited into, your name turns sour on their tongue. Suddenly you're lucky, arrogant, too much. They question your choices, your success, your worth, all for the approval of a different audience. This is not honesty, it's cowardice. If they truly cared, they would correct you in private, not condemn you in public. I've seen this pattern unfold with precision. The same person who posted you on their story, who called you family, was the one whispering doubts about you to others. And when I found out, the betrayal wasn't in the words. It was in the fake loyalty. Most people don't have the courage to confront you, so instead they build alliances in the shadows, draining your name to boost their own. They need you to seem small when you're not around, because your presence exposes what they lack. The Stoics taught us to be indifferent to praise and insult alike, because both can be deceiving. But that doesn't mean we should ignore deception. A person who cannot be consistent in your presence and your absence is not worthy of your trust. And trust, once broken, must not be repaired with excuses. Ask yourself this: if someone praises you in public but criticizes you in private, which version is real? And why are they afraid to speak the truth when you're in the room? Most people wear masks. But Stoics? They value integrity above all. What you see is what you get. So if you discover someone in your circle wears one face for you and another for the world, step back, not in anger, not in drama, but with quiet clarity. Because character is revealed not in how people treat you when you're near, but how they speak of you when you're not. 4. They remember your mistakes, but forget your kindness. There's a certain kind of person who keeps score, not of their wrongs against you, but of yours against them. They archive your missteps like trophies, yet your kindness fades from their memory like smoke. A Stoic would remind you, to wrong is human, to forgive is wise. To weaponize someone's past, that is weakness masquerading as virtue. These people never forget the time you were late, but they forget the dozen times you showed up early. They remember the one thing you said in anger, but forget the countless times you were patient when they didn't deserve it. They hold tightly to the version of you that failed, because that's the version they feel safest with. Why? Because your growth threatens them. Your kindness reminds them of their own lack. And your progress? It confronts their excuses. So instead of rising with you, they anchor you to your lowest moments. Not openly, not always cruelly, but subtly. Remember when you used to be like that? I just don't want you to get too ahead of yourself. These aren't warnings. They're reminders, crafted to keep you small. I felt this firsthand. You give and give and give. And the one time you slip, that becomes your legacy in their eyes. That becomes the story they tell about you, not the one filled with grace, but the one filled with flaws. Most people will take your kindness for granted, but the ones who secretly resent you, they'll erase it entirely. Because to acknowledge your goodness would mean accepting they were never on your level to begin with. The Stoics taught that your virtue is not dependent on anyone's memory of it. You do good not for applause, not for recognition, but because it aligns with who you are. If someone clings to your mistakes but lets your kindness slip through their fingers, they're not keeping a record. They're building a case against your success, a case against your worth. So be kind, be firm, be fair, but be watchful, because those who forget your light and remember only your shadow were never standing beside you. They were waiting for you to dim. 5. They rarely make eye contact during serious talks. The eyes are windows to the soul, they say, but some windows stay shut when the truth draws near. When conversations get real, intense, or vulnerable, watch their gaze, because the one who secretly harbors resentment or guilt, they struggle to meet your eyes. A Stoic would say, "The mind that is pure fears no judgment." So what does it mean when someone close to you can't hold your gaze, especially when it matters most? It means their conscience is conflicted, their loyalty is fractured, and their words may say one thing, but their silence, their tension, their averted glance, that says everything. You bring up how they've hurt you, and they look away. You share your success, and their eyes suddenly shift. You ask a direct question, and they scan the floor, the wall, the sky, anywhere but you. I've seen this pattern. People who smile big but fold when the moment turns honest, because eye contact is presence, and presence requires truth. When someone avoids your eyes, it's often because they can't lie to your face, not convincingly. So they distance themselves with nervous laughter, sudden distractions, or forced detachment. Not because they don't care, but because deep down they do, just not in the way a true friend should. It's guilt, or jealousy, or discomfort in the shadow of your strength. Most people never notice it. They chalk it up to shyness, moodiness, or awkwardness. But those who walk the Stoic path, they observe, not to judge, but to understand. And what you'll find is this: people who are honest with you can look you in the eye. People who are hiding something cannot. The Stoics teach us not to jump to conclusions, but also not to ignore the signs. Your eyes are instruments of perception, not just outward, but inward. So if someone close to you consistently breaks eye contact when things get serious, don't ignore it. It may not be proof of betrayal, but it is often the signal of dissonance, of something unspoken, unresolved, or quietly wrong. Trust what you see when the words say one thing and the eyes say nothing at all. 6. They only show up when they benefit. There are two kinds of people in your life: those who come through when it's inconvenient, and those who come around when it's convenient. The latter are the most deceptive. They don't wear masks of hostility, they wear masks of friendship. But remove the benefit and watch how fast their interest fades. A Stoic would remind you, do not confuse usefulness with loyalty. A friend is proven in hardship, not in harmony. These people don't check in to see how you are. They check in when they need something: your connections, your time, your support, your audience. And for a while, it feels mutual. They praise you, laugh with you, even stand beside you when all is well. But the moment your value to them decreases, so does their presence. They stop calling, stop replying, stop showing up. Why? Because you were never the priority. You were a resource. I've seen this in business, in friendships, in blood ties. They're warm when there's gain and cold when there's none. And worse, they often return only when the next opportunity arises. And they act like nothing happened, as if loyalty were on pause. The Stoics didn't measure a person by their words, but by their consistency. Epictetus taught, if a man is your friend, see if he is a friend when you have nothing to offer. The one who is only present when they benefit is not a friend. They are a transaction in disguise. Their loyalty has a price tag, and the moment that price isn't met, they vanish. Most people don't notice, because the illusion feels good. But the wise, they measure friendship by absence as much as by presence. So ask yourself, Do they show up when it costs them something? Do they stand beside you when there's nothing to gain? If not, then their presence isn't support, it's strategy. Walk with those who stand firm when the lights are off, who call when you're not shining, who help when no one's watching. Because the one who's only there when it's easy will be the first to disappear when it's not. 7. They act overly nice in public but cold in private. There's a unique kind of betrayal that doesn't come with cruelty. It comes with a smile. In front of others, they're warm, attentive, even affectionate. But once the crowd is gone, the energy shifts. Suddenly you're invisible. A Stoic would warn, avoid those who perform virtue for praise but neglect it in private, because authenticity doesn't need an audience. This person thrives in the spotlight. They compliment you when ears are listening. They support you when eyes are watching. They laugh at your jokes, nod at your ideas, and call you my friend when the cameras are on. But behind closed doors, they withdraw. Their tone cools. Their responses become dry, indifferent, or absent altogether. Why? Because the public version of you benefits them. But the private version of you, that's where truth lives, and they want no part in it. I've seen this more than once. The person who hugs you at dinner but ghosts your messages, who posts you on their story but won't return your calls. They don't care about connection, they care about perception. And that's not friendship, that's theater. The Stoics teach us to live consistently in thought, word, and deed. What you are in public, you must also be in private. Anything else is hollow. So if someone close to you treats you better in front of others than they do when no one's watching, you are not loved. You are leveraged. Most people miss this. They take the public praise as proof of loyalty. But the wise know, real character reveals itself in the quiet, not the crowd. Ask yourself, are they showing up for you or for how you make them look? Because someone who's warm in public but cold in private is not confused. They're calculated. A true friend doesn't need an audience to treat you well. Their kindness isn't for show, it's for you. So walk with those who match their words with their actions. Not just when it's visible, but especially when it's not. Conclusion. Not all enemies are loud. Some sit quietly beside you, smiling, nodding, while silently rooting for your downfall. But now, your eyes are open. You've seen the signs. They undermine your achievements. They smile at your struggles. They praise you publicly but tear you down in secret. They remember your mistakes but forget your kindness. They can't meet your eyes when the truth appears. They only show up when it benefits them. They play nice in public but turn cold behind closed doors. This isn't about paranoia. It's about perception, because awareness is the first step toward freedom. The Stoics never told us to hate these people. They taught us to see clearly, act wisely, and guard our peace like a sacred fire. So now I ask you, which of these signs have you experienced? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear your story. And if this video opened your eyes or struck something within you, click that like button, share it with someone who needs this clarity, and subscribe to stay grounded in ancient truth and modern strength. You don't need to fight fake friends, you only need to outgrow them. Until next time, stay sharp, stay steady, and keep walking the Stoic pathway.